You are listening to the Boss Experience Podcast, a podcast with conversations about business growth, self-development, and maintaining a mindset to achieve business success. My name is Michelle Davis, and I am a business strategist and coach, and I am your host. Let's get started. Well, thank you so much, Cessily, for joining me on the Boss Experience Podcast.
Girl, I'm so
Cessily
excited.
Walker.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, Michelle.
Oh, you're welcome. So Cessily Walker is an entrepreneur. She's a podcaster. She's an educator. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so, girl. I don't think so.
Okay. So I think what excites me so much about talking to you is because you're not one of those entrepreneurs that just kind of fill out the sky, you know, all these ones hopping around on all the reels and stuff, like, and you don't know what their background is, and they just kind of popped up on Instagram and now they're an expert, you know, at running a business. You actually have been running a business, you know. You want to talk about that, like your entrepreneurship journey, because you actually started not online, but brick and mortar.
Yeah. So, Michelle, my family is an entrepreneurial family. Like, you know, before that coin or whatever became like really a big thing, my parents always worked a full-time job and they had several hustles on the side. Like my mom has real estate. My dad is a farmer and his main occupation was a truck driver, but he also farmed peanuts and he has cows. So, you know, we've always had multiple things going on. So it was kind of always where I grew up knowing that I wanted to do something else, but I just did not know what. I didn't understand that you could just be an entrepreneur and not really have to work a 9 to 5. So it took me a while to figure that out. I mean, when you're an entrepreneur, you work longer than 9 to 5, but I never realized that I could actually do something on my own and be able to survive with that. Fast forward to 2000, maybe 13 or 14, we opened our funeral home, which of course has to be a brick and mortar because people have to come somewhere for funeral services, in our hometown of Grapeland, Texas, which is where I'm from. This really, Michelle, was my dad's dream. He always wanted to be an undertaker. And even as a truck driver, his handle was, "I'm the undertaker, the last person to let you down." So he was getting close to retirement. And we just, all of a sudden, I had friends that were in the funeral industry and we were like, why don't we do this? We don't have a funeral home in our town. So we felt like it was a great opportunity and a great time to provide this service to our community, which is why we opened Walker & Walker Funerals and Cremation. And I'm a co-owner with my sister.
Wow, that is awesome. Awesome. So what kind of made you kind of pivot a bit and kind of get into the online world?
Online world meaning what, like with
your
the podcasting? Well, I have a background I lived in New York for several years. I did commercials, you know, some TV things, and I've always liked the online. I've always liked media, and my bachelor's degree is in public speaking. So I've always been very interested in online and just media and just like, you know, seeing myself on TV. So that's something that I've always been interested in. And, you know, being here in Palm Springs, it's not that much to do as far as employment. I do work still, kind of dabble in substitute teaching and teaching at one of the local colleges, but I've always wanted to kind of do my own thing, and online brings you that presence. And it also allows you to be in several places and not have, you know, a home-based office, which is really appealing to me because we travel. I'm back and forth between here and Texas a lot. So that is just what really made something to be online, to be very appealing and something that I wanted to do. And also, I just want to do a podcast. It's like, why not? If I can do it, if you can do it, I can too. So I wanted to do a podcast to share with people, especially women, that just because you turn a certain age, you know, we talked about you turning 50, life is not over. A lot of times people feel like, oh, when I get this age, I'm not going to be able to live out and fulfill my dreams. And basically my podcast, which is Too Old, Nah, You're Never Too Old, is basically to show people that you're never too old to do things that you want to do in life and to accomplish. Because in the funeral industry, once you get in that casket or once your life is over, there's no turning back. So it's just basically living in the moment and getting those things accomplished before it's too late or before you feel like, your life is over.
Absolutely. Now, running your own funeral home, which is kind of like it's non-traditional, kind of job as I view it. Anyway, I would imagine you've taken away quite a few skills to help you be successful. So what are some skills you believe you've taken from being an entrepreneur and having a successful offline business that you've been able to bring online and launch your podcast and mentor women with?
I think that in my industry, the funeral industry, let's just speak about that. I think that the main qualities that you have in the funeral industry are going to be patience. You have to be patient because those families are coming to you. This is the worst day of their life and the worst experience that they've ever had to go through. So patience is very, very important. Likability and trust factor is very important. People have to trust you. They have to like you in order to want the services that you provide for their loved one. Even though the funeral industry is, seen as a doom and gloom type industry, but, you still have to have some type of excitement or something in the services that you're providing. With us in our funeral home, we try to provide services that are unique to the person and to the family, because a funeral is like any other major event in your life. You always remember, your 50th birthday or your wedding, and people also always remember a funeral. So we try to bring excitement and a personal touch to that. I also think that you have to be knowledgeable. You're guiding some families that have not had to funeralize someone in many years. So you have to be knowledgeable about what you're doing and walk them through every step so that they know what actions and what's going to be done. And I think my last thing is just an interest in what you're doing. You can't do a job or start a business without being interested. It's not always about the money. It's also about, your interest in it. If you're not interested in doing it, then why do it? Because you're going to put all these hours into this project and then you don't have any interest. And people can tell that when they walk through your doors or when they talk to you on the phone. So I think those are my 5 qualities. And of course, those qualities can be used across the board too, because, likability, excitement, organized is also a big one. Interest in what you're doing, and also being knowledgeable.
Absolutely. Now, what's brought you to this point is kind of having mentorship for you to even kind of learn, all of those different qualities along the way. And who do you credit for, or how many people do you credit for being your mentor?
I think that so we know right now we're in knowledge and information overload, right? Everybody is offering a class. They're offering, these sessions to help you learn how to do something. So we started our business 9 years ago. So I don't think that it was such a big deal about classes. And I don't even know if anyone has a class on how to open a funeral home online, but they might now. But my go-to person for mentorship was a man he's still living. So his name is Mr. Benjamin Horn. He is from a neighboring town about 50 miles from us. And he was just like my go-to person. He's worked in the funeral industry for over 20 years. He has owned funeral homes. He still works in a funeral home. And he just basically showed us the ropes. I mean, it's really hard sometimes to find mentorship or someone that believes in you enough to spend time with you talking on the phone for hours, but he basically did that for us.
Attention solopreneurs and freelancers. By now, you may be feeling the pinch of inflation in your business. The reality is, the more people spend on life's necessities like food, gas, and rent, the less they have to spend on your goods and services. But I have a solution for you. If you earn $3,000 a month in revenue, and you've been in business at least 3 months or more, you may be eligible for business funding. And the best part is there's no hard credit increase. You get transparent terms and no collateral is required. So if you need funding to get through a tight spot, invest in marketing, or just cover an unexpected business expense, all you have to do is visit marketinggymllc.com and click the self-employed funding tab to get started. Now, back to the episode.
He took us from, the steps of calling state to get your license. I mean, he took us through A to Z. Like, he could probably have a great course right now online if that's something that he wanted to do, because he was just that detailed. And I would not make a move until I asked him or ran it by him first. So, I mean, he was my mentor, and I would advise anyone doing anything, mentorship or gaining the knowledge is first, right? So you go on the internet, find somebody that you like and you feel like I can teach you, but still there's nothing like face-to-face mentorship, being able to go out. You can get all the education you want to online, but until you're actually doing it, it's two completely different things. And so he allowed us to be there in the trenches with him at the funeral home that he was working at until we actually learned how to do it correctly.
And I think the big piece that people kind of miss, they think mentorship is something they can just kind of skip over. They're going to do it on their own, whether it's an online business or an offline business. And I think mentorship is a big piece and a big key to people being successful.
I mean, it is because, you want to learn from people that are doing it. I mean, and I'm not knocking people that have these classes online, which are great because everyone now wants to be mentored in some facet or in something that they're interested in doing, even if they don't do it. They just want to have the knowledge. But, you have to have somebody or see someone else doing it. It's like you model yourself. We tweaked a couple things with, the information that he gave us to make it our own business, but still to have that model to see how it's done, that's just something that's unparalleled. I don't think it's anything that I could have gotten just by watching some tutorials online. Because a lot of times when you do things, when you buy these processes online, they leave out certain steps. So with him, we were able to see everything from, how to answer a death call, what's the next process. He just walked us through everything, and we actually got to see him do it. And not only that, he also introduced us to so many people in the industry that have also, helped us be more successful in what we do.
And I don't, without giving me any numbers or anything, did he do this free or did you kind of compensate him?
No, exactly. That's a good question. We did little things, but we probably didn't compensate him enough for what he gave us. He gave us the blueprints to run a successful business. So he didn't charge. It was a friend. Girl, I'm from a small town. It's just like, come on over here and do this, and come on and help us with that. So, it wasn't like we had to sign a contract of what, he expected to be paid. It was just more like a friend to friend mentorship.
Okay, awesome. So now you have taken your mentorship experience and you've kind of evolved into a mentor yourself through your podcast. Because a lot of women think just because they get to be a certain age that life is over, dreams are over, somehow everything that all the aspirations they had are somehow expiring. So tell me a little bit about, or tell the audience about, your evolution to, from owning the funeral home, and which you're still doing, but now you're evolving that into online mentorship.
Yeah, well, girl, life just passes by so quick. And I think working in the funeral industry, you just see the fragility of life and experiences because, you could be here today, gone today. So I think that working in the industry has inspired me also to do the podcast because once I turned 40, it was kind of like, it wasn't downhill. I was excited about turning 40, but it was almost like, what's next? Okay, what do I do? You have these people in your ear telling you, ooh, you're getting old, or you're old. And then when you talk to older people, they're like, ooh, you have so much life ahead of you. So it's kind of like in the middle of that, like, now what do I do? Okay, I've always, I've had the funeral home for a while now. And then it was like other things that I was interested in doing, but I just never felt comfortable or confident enough at my age to feel like I could still accomplish these things. So I started doing a bunch of research, just kind of seeing like different people that are in their 40s or going into their 50s that are still like really like being successful, starting new businesses, working hard at things that they still want to accomplish, whether it's your health. You got tons of people on Instagram that are like 50 plus and their body looks better, like far better than like a 30-year-old, so it was just kind of like figuring out, what am I going to do with this next part of my life? And I think that made me want to just mentorship and inspire women who are middle age, which I still hate that word, but we are middle age, right? Hoping that if you make it to 90 or 80. So, it's just kind of like, what can we do? And then we have all this experience bottled up inside of us. Sometimes employers don't even want to hire people if they're in their 40s because they feel like they're not going to be trainable, or, they're just too old for the workforce and the fast pace of the workforce now. But, to the contrary, it's just that we have so much more to offer. We have so much to give if they just will listen to us. That's the thing. It's like, we're here, we want to help out, and we also are still, reaching our goals and doing things that make us happy. And that's basically what I wanted to say with my podcast. You're never, ever too old to do what you want. It may be traveling the world, something like that. People feel like those things are not attainable, but they are. You just have to have the right mindset and the will. And the mind is one of those things that, don't let people tell you you're this and you're that. The way you feel and what you're capable of doing. So that's basically why I wanted to mentorship and start the podcast.
Absolutely. And so what is next for Cessily Walker?
Michelle, oh my goodness, I don't know. Girl, I have a lot of things. I'm always like a busybody. So I have things coming down the pipeline, but it's like, am I going to really, it's that fear factor still. So the reason I did this podcast too is to also help me with my fears and my like intrepidation. So, it's still like, okay, I want to do this. I want to do that. How can I get it going? So this podcast is also helping me too. So it's like a two-way street. I'm mentoring and talking to other women and hearing their stories, which also influences me to do more also in my, at 48. So I do have a couple things going on, Michelle. I just don't know if I'm ready to discuss them quite yet. But yeah, I have to always keep myself busy and going with different projects.
Absolutely. So in case, obviously the audience would want to, whoever is watching this video wants to stay in touch and see what's happening next with Cessily Walker and to connect with you to watch your podcast. How do they, or listen to your podcast rather, how do they get a hold of you both on your social media and also on, how do they find your podcast?
Well, I'm very social on Instagram. So everything is at Cessily, Cessily Walker. So Instagram, Facebook, I'm not as active on Twitter, but, and the podcast will hopefully be out next week, but it's going to be across all platforms. It's going to be on Apple, and Google and Stitch, all the platforms for a podcast. And it's Too Old Nah.
Okay, excellent.
And I also have a website. My website is cessillywalker.com.
Excellent.
Oh, wait just a minute. If funeral services, if anybody is like in East Texas or close to Grapeland, Texas, which is East Texas, our website is Walker and A&D Walker FH.com. So you can check us out there too.
And you're even on Instagram, your funeral home.
Yes, we're on Instagram. It's kind of, we try to keep it very inspirational and uplifting on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Cessily, for your time. Thanks so much. And
that time flew by. It's already time for me to leave, Michelle. What time is it?
Did you want to say something else?
I want my whole 30 minutes, girl. Wait.
Is there something else you want to say?
No, I'm joking. This was really great. So thank you so much for having me. I'm glad that we made it happen. And just want everyone to know that your life is not over. You empty nesters, that's the best time to get it popping again. Think about those things that you want to create for yourself. You need to leave some type of footprint of who you are in this world. So please try not to get out of here before you're able to do those things for you.
Absolutely. Life is short. Thanks,
Here today,
Cessily.
gone today. Just remember that. You can be here today, gone today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Starting a business is easy. Making money from your business is the hard part. The only way to launch a profitable business is to have a plan, direction, and one source of information that gives you everything you need to get started. So what if I told you that a blueprint exists that can take you from finding a business idea you love to launching a profitable online business? Without an email list, a big social media following, or wasting your time scouring the internet trying to put the pieces together. Get the only source you need to launch your profitable business today.
Just visit bossbusinessplanner.com to get yours today. Now back to the episode.
Thank you for tuning in to the Boss Experience podcast. Don't forget to leave a review for this episode and tune in next time.